Mic check, mic check. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like, share the live. The jury is entering the courtroom. This has gone super fast in the last 10 minutes. And we are literally about to get the verdict. If you're watching this or getting updates elsewhere, don't post them in the chat. You confuse the chat. Okay, thank you. So we're at verdict. They're about to read it in seconds. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Switch your chat settings from top chat to live chat to catch all the conversation and participate. Shout out to all of the subscribers. Join us, hit that subscribe button. Shout out to all the members on YouTube and Patreon. Shout out to all the supporters on Substack. Shout out to everybody who supports the channel in all of the ways that you do. Appreciate you all very much. And it's wonderful to see you. Again, if you're watching elsewhere or getting updates from elsewhere, please don't post them in the chat. You confuse the flow of the conversation and really get ahead of things. It's not helpful to me, causes things to get disoriented and disjointed. So just be patient. Here we go. Sean Diddy Combs has been found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, but not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. He was charged with 5 counts, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts each of sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution. So again,
Sean Diddy Combs, has been found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Transportation for the purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years for each count. Again, transportation for the purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. Had he been convicted of sex trafficking, that's a 15-year minimum statutory sentence. Racketeering, I believe, also carries a statutory minimum of 15 years. So if you're just joining, Diddy has been found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. He has to be feeling extremely relieved, as does his legal representation. This kind of goes in line with what it was that we discussed yesterday in my For Funsies prediction, that they were going to find him guilty of transporting folks for the purposes of prostitution, but not trafficking of Cassie and not trafficking of Jane. Here we go. You don't know that, but this goes in line with your name, JJ Genius. I did, yep. Hello, Ariel. Demi, beautiful. It's so good to see you. King Link, hello. Angie Lady, yep. Zzz, yeah. AM, what the fuck? T-Bella, wow. Chris with a K, damn. Shannon, okay. Dot Chaos. So that prediction was accurate. Yeah, it was. Listen to Black women and all that stuff. YouTube unfolded. Wow. CJ says, I'm shocked. He's guilty on the lesser charges. I'm shocked. Yeah, I still didn't look up the federal sentencing guidelines on this. The judge is getting ready to dismiss the jury and giving them a nice little, bookend to their jury service, including you ain't got to speak to nobody if you don't want to, and such. Jackpot to Don. No, that's not true. That's legally, factually false. His trafficking by hiring prostitutes from a different state and bringing them into the state he's at. No, That's transporting people for the purposes of prostitution, which is what he was just found guilty of. He wasn't charged with trafficking sex workers. So this is inaccurate. And this the type of shit I'm on at 7:26 in the morning. We can only deal with the facts, not how armchair, legal analysts decide to interpret and declare the law. He was never charged with trafficking sex workers. He was charged with trafficking Cassie and Jane. And he was charged with transporting sex workers across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those are the facts. That's the reality that we're rooted in this morning, beloved. Time served will be a factor. Yes, time served will be a factor. And we'll find out in a minute or two if this is an immediate. If all of these things are under mandatory sentences, which they're not, transportation for purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. So we're not going to get a sentence today. Because there's not a statutory mandatory minimum. So we're not going to get sentencing today. Sentencing may be as far out as a month. And again, as I said yesterday, now that these are the only charges, right? And people in Hollywood, people in positional power, people who are thirsty and want to be seen by him as supportive of him, they're going to send letters of support to the judge because, well, who hasn't messed with a little paid side thing once or twice? It's relatable. Angie Lady says, I'm side-eyeing that jury. That's reasonable. I'm not. I'm not side-eyeing the jury, much for what I said yesterday about the composition of the jury. I just don't think that the prosecution made their case to that jury. Did they have enough to convict him of everything? Yeah. But I just don't think that they saw it. And I don't think we should necessarily assume, although it's extremely tempting, I don't think we should necessarily assume malice on the part of the jury. It's tempting because of what we feel that we know, but let this be a reminder to you all, the difference between the reality that we live and see in real time and what can happen in a court of law. A la Aubrey Drake Graham versus UMG. It's 7:30 in the morning, okay? I got up at 5:00. Look at me. Did all of this for you to be here, to be ready. I'm not putting up with people's bullshit and ignorance today. I'm just not doing it. We can get through this without that. There's consenting to going somewhere, and then there's what happens when you get there. So I'm not going to say that they were consenting to what was happening in the room. Some of them were hired under false pretenses. So were they all adults? Yeah. Were they consenting? Not necessarily. Not if you're hired under false pretenses, not if the circumstances change when you're in the room. Consent can change. It's not static. It's fluid. Ramona J says, "Women, stay safe out here in these streets." Everybody needs to stay safe out here in these streets. But, you know, be discerning and protect yourself. Don't let anybody control you, and don't let anybody weaponize you against you. Sharita Hall, thank you for the support, beautiful. Lily Eternal, thank you for your $20 contribution. I'm not surprised by the outcome. Curious how sentencing will go. Yeah, we'll find out. Delo Design, thank you for the $10 contribution. Good morning to you indeed. Again, Sharita, thank you. Kitty Fund, noted. Thank you for the $5 contribution. Lily Eternal, not surprised by the outcome. Curious how sentencing will go. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Diddy has been found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. He has been found not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering. Transportation for the purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years for each count. There's no statutory minimum for that. So he's not going to be sentenced today. If it were mandatory minimums, there's no point in letters and this, that, and the other. You just get sentenced and you go to prison. So he's going to go back to jail. And I'm waiting to see. There's still updates coming out. The judge is still talking to the jury per the updates. Some judges say, "Thank you for your service. You're dismissed. Your life is yours. Bye." And some go through a really lengthy thank you, final directions, talking about the media, talking about like their safety, if they're ever concerned about anything. In certain cases, depending on the circumstances and the severity of the case and what the jury is exposed to during the case, the court continues, to offer them a great deal of appropriate support after the trial. So, he's taking care to validate, respect, and inform the jury of things that they need to know as they are dismissed. Somebody's mama says, "Don't take any wooden nickels, y'all." So what will happen is, typically, okay, sentencing will probably be in 30 days. The prosecution is gonna put together their recommendation for sentencing. The defense is gonna put together their recommendation for sentencing. He will also go to independent in terms of not related to the prosecution or the defense. We'll go for basically an individual evaluation of him, his character, his history, how he conducted himself in the trial. They're trying to get him out today. The judge asked, Is your proposal that he leave this courtroom and walk outside? Diddy's lawyers said yes. Defense attorney says that Sean Diddy Combs should be released on appropriate conditions in light of the fact that Combs has been acquitted on racketeering and sex trafficking. He says Combs would go back to his house in Miami and abide by conditions set by the court. Combs does not have access to his plane, and his entire family is here, his lawyers said. Any three of them, any five of them can sign on to a bond. He wants him released today. So anyway, as I was saying, as the updates are coming in on that, sentencing in 30 days. Prosecution makes its recommendation. Defense makes its recommendation. Independent third party does an evaluation of Diddy. As I said, his history, his personal behavior, his level of personal awareness of accountability. And then it will put together a sentencing recommendation for the court based on that, you know. But he is a first-time offender. Princey is feeling some kind of way. So if you hear a weird sound, it's him sliding across the floor. Okay? You're like, what is that noise? That's Princey sliding across the floor and trying to stop himself. Pupils fully dilated. Shannon, I am disgusted. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's funny to watch his little fat butt slide across the floor and stop himself. I don't know what is going on in his little head right now, but he's on Zoomy time, apparently. Probably because I'm speaking this loudly. He's still adjusting to me being in his space. So it's probably that. I'm down here in his space being all loud and shit. So yes, if you are just now joining, hit the like button, share this live stream, get them numbers up there. Appreciate you. Diddy has been found not guilty of RICO, and he has been found not guilty of sex trafficking, and he has been found guilty of transportation across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. And his attorneys are trying to get him released. The government opposes the motion for bond and release. The trial showed evidence of extensive abuse and prolific drug use that the defense did not contest. Sean Diddy Combs continued to commit a litany of crimes after he knew he was under investigation. The government argued that Combs does not respect the law. This is what I was thinking of when I was thinking in terms of like pre-sentencing evaluations and things like that. Combs does not respect the law and would likely commit new crimes if released. The government also confirmed that the government intends to seek incarceration. He still faces up to 20 years in prison for the 2 counts that he has been convicted of. So the fact that the government said that he still faces up to 20 years in prison means that it sounds like, and I'm just going to give the government the benefit of the doubt because, again, I have not researched in detail. I was so tired yesterday. I was just like drained for so many reasons. But anyway, um, I didn't do any research on the federal guidelines for sentencing. So I'm gonna give the government the benefit of the doubt, and the fact that it says up to 20 years means that he doesn't serve those counts, at least based on what the government said here in this update that I'm reading. Those counts are not served concurrently. And now the judge is saying, "Well, you better go somewhere and do some work." He wants letters from them in 90 minutes. I'm doing the math and adding things up as I look at things. Yeah, go off to your respective corners and do some work. The judge has ordered the prosecution and the defense to submit letters on their positions about the possibility of releasing Diddy today. The letters, according to this update, are due. Oh, wait, hold on. 2 hours and 15 minutes. The letters are due in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So they're going back to their workrooms and punching out their positions of bond. Wow, how the tables turn. How the tables turn. So letters for bond aren't going to matter from the public right now. He doesn't care about that. Letters for sentencing, those will come for sure. But letters for bond in 2 hours, he doesn't care if Kanye sends a letter in the next 2 hours. That has no bearing. The judge solely wants to hear from the prosecution and the defense, and he wants their positions in writing. That's the appropriate thing to do. After the verdict, Sean Combs faced the gallery and clapped. Before he was led out of the courtroom by marshals, he knelt down in front of his chair and bowed his head like he was praying. There was a lot of prayer in the courtroom this morning before the jury announced that it had a verdict. I was up, I'm old, so my body wakes me up very early, and I've been watching the updates come in, and there was a lot of praying happening with various family members and whatnot. Before he was led out of the courtroom by marshals, Diddy knelt down in front of his chair and bowed his head like he was praying. When he stood up, he faced the gallery and clapped, prompting the gallery to clap and cheer. Combs' attorneys all exchanged hugs as the gallery continued to cheer for them. This is ludicrous. King on deck. He should get his time already served knocked off of his sentence. 10 years probation. He has to register as a sex offender. Where do you get this from? Rhetorical question. Where do you get register as a sex offender from? Where? Where? Rhetorical question. Kay Harris, he's a clown. He's a whole clown. But remember, let's go back to the first bail hearing. He was an altar boy, Your Honor. And just so we're clear, even when the judge is not in the courtroom, he can see everything that's happening in the courtroom. So before the jury was brought in, before the verdict was read, the judge came onto the bench, all rise, all of that. The first thing he did was warn everybody in his courtroom, in the gallery, and then there's also an overflow room. He warned all of them maintain your composure, through this next portion. So when he left, gavelled, jury's gone, he's gone, Diddy kneels, prays, gets up, starts clapping, is cheered by his adoring and supportive fans. You woman, you, says, I'm so fucking disgusted. King Link says, he out here making a mockery of God and the law. They better keep that motherfucker, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was ruled a flight risk 3 times in a row. He was ruled a flight risk, which was shocking to me every time. Every time he went for bail, and they, after lengthy argument and deliberation, the court determined, nah, you are a legitimate flight risk. It doesn't matter if you give up your passport. It doesn't matter if you give up a plane. You have too much money and too much means for this. So, I think it's likely that he receives, if it is not concurrent, and he can get up to 20 years, I would estimate that the judge sentences him somewhere between 8 and 12 years, minus time served, and then it's on him. Good behavior. We'll get you out. Tiffany Rain, hello, beautiful. The biscuit heads are already irritating this early in the morning, but here we are, child. Accurate. I fed the cats and said, let me make some coffee right now. Because I don't think this is going to take very long. And sure enough, they were in there for an hour, so somebody changed their mind. But it was literally down to one person on either side needing to change their mind for them to come to a determination on racketeering. Near Shot Vids asks, do we think the jury was tampered with? No. No, we don't have any indication of that. We there excuse me. There were some indications that there may have been a juror who was talking about the case. This is not the same person who was removed. This came up pretty much immediately following the removal of juror number 6, who was not forthright about where it was he actually lived, if he lived in Jersey or if he lived in New York. But immediately following that, like the same day that juror was dismissed, another jury issue came up where a juror actually came forward to the judge and said, hey, I got this text message from a number I don't recognize asking me, am I juror number 6 that was just dismissed? Well, apparently the judge reviewed a couple of the person's text messages and was like, are you talking about this case? Are you communicating with people in your circle about this case? And again, gave a strong consideration to dismissing that person. That person was not dismissed. But that's not the same as jury tampering. Okay, that's not the same thing. Jury tampering is somebody seeking out jurors and trying to influence them in some way, and we just simply don't have any indication of that. So, let's not make stuff up and lean into unsubstantiated rumors pushed by influencers outside of the courtroom right now, live on YouTube and wherever, gossip sites and accounts and blogs and, you know, reactors, streamers, and influencers who have no reading comprehension whatsoever and are going to be on the I told you bullshit. They don't know nothing. Nobody could have predicted this outcome. Those are false predictions and not hard to make because there were only 3 options. Guilty of everything, not guilty of anything, mixed bag. Muddy Huddy, member for 5 months. Let's get those likes up, y'all. It ain't even 8 a.m. Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't think that's gonna matter one bit, and I don't really care, and I really think people need to let that go. And, you know, stop inviting the nihilism because they had an opportunity to not even go to trial. They had an opportunity to stop this trial, and they didn't. And they've certainly done it with other people. They let this trial go. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you are gonna come up with strategic reasons why. Just I'm disinterested in those theories today, okay? Without greater empirical evidence, I'm disinterested in those things. And even if he were to be some brilliant strategist and decide, "I'm gonna let this play, and if he goes to prison, he goes to prison, then I'm gonna free him before the midterms." That is not going to make people turn around and vote for an administration that is disappearing Black and brown people off the streets of America. Proportional impact, okay? And that's not a proportional impact. We don't give a fuck about Diddy as Black America. We have a statement from Cassie's attorney. Cassie Ventura paved the way for a jury to find Sean Diddy Combs guilty on some of the counts against him, her lawyer, Doug Widgore, said in a statement. This entire criminal process started when our client, Cassie Ventura, had the courage to file her civil complaint in November 2023. Although the jury did not find Combs guilty of sex trafficking Cassie beyond a reasonable doubt, she paved the way for a jury to find him guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. He continued, by coming forward with her experience, Cassie has left an indelible mark on both the entertainment industry and the fight for justice. I would agree with that. The attorney said Ventura showed exemplary courage throughout this trial. I would agree with that. And brought attention to the realities of powerful men in our orbit and the misconduct that has persisted for decades without repercussion. I would agree with that too. This case proved that change is long overdue, and we will continue to fight on behalf of survivors. That's a good statement. That's a good and measured statement, and it shows something about Cassie, and I've talked about this before. I've talked about making sure that if you are the victim of somebody, that you don't tie your healing process to the criminal justice system, that you don't tie your own validation of what did happen to you to the criminal justice system, because there is a difference between what did happen and what can be proven in court beyond a reasonable doubt. Just because something can't be proven in court beyond a reasonable doubt or there isn't enough evidence to even bring charges doesn't mean it didn't happen. Those are 2 separate things. You have to be strong enough. You have to do the work. You're not inherently strong enough. You have to get strong enough. And we know she went through a process. She went to rehab. She went to therapy. She almost chose not to be in this world, before really embarking on a process of her own personal accountability and her own healing, regardless of what anybody else did or said. And so that statement from her attorney, it's not a statement of disappointment. It's not a statement of our client is devastated by this, that, and the other. It is a statement of these convictions were possible because she came forward. That it shows that change is needed. True, true. And I saw some of you say in the comments as well, the system is um, but to me, that's what her attorney's statement exemplifies, that she was not tied to this. She's not in court every day. She has a family. She just had a baby. She took him on directly, which is more than Drake can say. She took him on directly before any of this. That was her process. This is the government's process. She didn't tie herself to it. So, context. Okay? Dan Jr., I love you. I deleted that comment because I do not want to see that broad's name in my comments when I go back and watch this. You're not in timeout or anything. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Val Logan became a YouTube member. Welcome. Hello, Tip. Smash that like button. Yeah, y'all get on it. Yeah, it's a good statement. It's a good statement. Thomas Brooks said, this was a fair trial. I don't know if you're basing that on the outcome or if, you would have said the same thing yesterday. But I think it was. No. Out pending sentencing, not out today. So let's be clear, okay? This is not about, is he gonna serve time for these convictions? This is about, is he going to get out for the next 30 days until he is sentenced? So I'm just saying that and you can still, you can still be upset by that. I've said this from the beginning. Everybody has a right to bail and you don't want that right to go anywhere. You book yourself. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I would never, a child in this administration, you could sneeze, get prosecuted. So we need the bail system that we have. Okay. And he's got a lot writing against him. And I would imagine that the prosecution is going to cite the judge back to the judge. Because this judge did do a bail ruling before. He was the last judge. When Diddy was trying to get bail bond at the very beginning of this, there was a different judge initially assigned to this case, and then this judge came on. So this judge did oversee an attempt for bail/bond and thoroughly denied it for several legitimate reasons. So as the prosecution is off, preparing their letter that they have to get in 2 hours. Sorry to do that time zone math. One of the things they're gonna do for damn sure is cite the judge back to the judge in their letter. Just reminder, judge, you've already made the determination that this man should not get out, that he is a flight risk. They took his plane, his passports. He offered $50 million, several houses, and they said no. So we'll see. We'll see. He also was up to shenanigans a large portion of the time that he was incarcerated, and the judge is perfectly aware of that. So, it's not an automatic, but he has a right to argue for it, and they are right as his attorneys to seize this moment to see if they can get him out for the next 30 days. OFA came through with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you. Nearshot says, "I just wanna say thank you for your measured and factual focused coverage fighting misinformation." You're welcome. You're welcome. I just wanna be clear, when I'm not here, I'm not out fighting misinformation, but when I'm here, not here. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna do that here, but if motherfuckers wanna be biscuit heads out there in the real world and not know some shit, I don't care. I don't care. But thank you. Che E says, "I need people to remember the court of public opinion is meaningless, even if they feel they gotta win. Let's not give these free Diddy losers power they don't have. Like, there's no point in discussing it. Don't argue with people. Don't debate people. There's no point because they're gonna be running around focused on not guilty like it never happened. And that's what I mean about the difference between reality and what happened in a court of law. And it's a fact that these things happened. It's also a fact that he was found not guilty. One, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't cancel out the other. I read Cassie's lawsuit. I deemed it credible from page 1 to the end. I was like, "I believe all of this," because I know, and I've evaluated claims of intimate partner violence before. I've also been lied to about it before, like maliciously lied to about it. So I've been through that experience, um, and fell for it. Totally believed them. That was a long time ago, and that was before I was an objective person who wasn't afraid to be objective and ask reasonable questions to come to my own determination about what did or didn't happen. So, but, not guilty like it never happened? No. We don't need we're ain't nobody standing here with the neuralizer making you forget, making you forget the testimony, making you forget this, that, and the other. He's still a piece of shit of a human being. And just like Cassie is strong enough to not connect her own personal process to the criminal justice process, you need to be strong enough, okay? To not attach what you know to motherfuckers trying to deny you. Their opinion doesn't mean shit. They are not an expert on anything, which is why I will check people quick, fast, in a hurry. You are not an expert on shit. I had somebody in the comment section yesterday tell me that, as a matter of fact, this is why I don't listen to people in the comment section, but a lot of people do. Um, had somebody tell me in the comment section, as a matter of fact, and this is on a different thing, different video, different topic, but nevertheless, um, I shared Chilling with Moni's video that she did. Shout out to Moni. I shared the video that she did about Kendrick and SZA And I said something like, "This is the most pathetic rumor floating around hip hop right now." And somebody posted a comment last night, "Nuh-uh, it's true, I've seen them together." Okay, send me an email. Send me an email, I'll have you on. You can tell everybody what you saw and what you know. For sure. You wanna bury yourself like, I'm supposed to believe that? I'm supposed to believe woof, woof, 5, 6, 7, 8, woof in the comment section? At the beginning of this situation, I had people coming into the comment section claiming to be victims of Diddy and blah, 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 and I told them flat out, "I don't believe you. Because why are you in my comment section? Why are you in my comment section? At Tinkerbell's Big Toe 679? Talking about I need to do better about believing survivors. You motherfuckers, first of all, I don't believe you. Second of all, you're not objective. Just because I'm objective doesn't mean I don't believe survivors. I am. I am. Child. Regal Love, here's the thing. There are people on this very platform, and let's keep it real. Maybe not you exactly, Regal Love, but other people in the live chat watch these channels. There are channels on here who would take a comment like that and be like, according to a source who contacted me. No. 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 I wouldn't care if you sent me an email. And I had plenty of people doing that when I first started this channel. You need to investigate Drake on this because da 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 da. And then the link they would send me was to Reddit. I love you, but you are not serious people. Sharita Hall, biscuit heads, hoe cakes, and cornbread that ain't done in the middle. A word. Che, need people to, at the very least, learn the difference between personal belief and fact. Yeah, I don't give a shit what you believe. I don't give a shit what you think. I say that all the time. It's quite literal. I don't care what you think. I don't care what such and such said. Don't care. Quality reacts. I'm late. What I miss? Are we still buying pages? Yes, child, y'all contribute to the docket fund. Mods send them links around. I was so tired yesterday, and I was like, "What the fuck is the point? They're closed anyway." But as soon as I end this live, I was getting ready to do that. I was sitting down, because I was like, "Well, I might as well literally start getting into as much work as I possibly can to keep myself, conscious and focused." I went to bed late, woke up too early. So, I had just put my little e-signature on that and was looking up the email address to send it to when I saw the pop-up note from the jury, and I was like, "Oh shit, here we go." "Oh shit, well, here we go. Let me go put my lipstick on." So Regal Love. Some people need to get off Reddit and touch some grass. Some people need to get off Reddit and read a non-fiction book. About literally anything. Anything. I don't care. Muddy Huddy, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Miss FC 2010, thank you for the 20-pound super sticker. Claudia, get Absa's non-fiction book. That was good. That was really good. Is that what the kids do? How does it go? Is it which finger is it? Is it this finger? Is it this finger? Yes, that was brilliant. Get Absa's non-fiction book. That's great. Thank you. So, yeah. I'm sure he's relieved. I'm sure he's relieved. And I'm sure he does feel victorious. I'm sure that was all very, some of these Hollywood and rapper men can't tell the difference between their reality and their performance. So I'm sure, his little prayer, his prayers this morning and all of that were real for him. I'm sure he is absolutely relieved because he's not facing mandatory minimum sentences. That's terrifying. It really is. It's really terrifying. Just try and put yourself in those shoes for a moment. Just in general, not specific to the crimes he was charged with, but you're charged with something. You're found guilty, and then the judge is like, "Well, I mean, there's no discretion in sentencing, so per the federal blah, 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 I sentence you to 15 years," and then that's it. You're off to go start serving your sentence. So I'm sure his knees felt weak in that moment when he realized that that wasn't gonna happen to him. And now his lawyers are fighting to get him out pending sentencing. So Queen Medina, hey, beautiful. Good to see you. See Fish, hello. Nickelodeon, hello. Nickelodeon, a page and my 2 cents. It's hilarious. Thank you. This day, hell feels a bit larger. I have started subscribing to what Shakespeare said about hell because I believe it. Hell is empty. Hell is empty. All the devils are here. Hell is empty. Hell been empty since November 4, 2024. As the clock struck midnight, the devil said, "Well, there's no point in keeping people here. Let me just dump them all back out." Hell is empty. All the devils are here. And he's one of them. And he's gonna be insufferable. But is he gonna do an interview now? You bet your ass he is. If he gets out, he's gonna do an interview. If he doesn't get out, he's gonna do an interview. Oh, I hear devil. Oh, competition. Quality reacts. Hold up, Nickelodeon. You trying to outdo me in buying pages? Mm. Mm. I will say this, uh, y'all will be in the book, the next book. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Mhm, mhm. Wow, Sharita Hall. My god. He's the high imp of Hades. My goodness. So let me see if the BBC is hilarious. Let me just read this to you. Sean Combs has been locked up in the Manhattan Detention Center since September 2024 and has just indicated to the judge that he does not wish to return there. The judge said to the court, "I know Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC." To which Combs shook his head and raised his hands in a prayerful gesture. Arguing for him to be released on bail, his defense lawyer said that Combs had been given his life by this jury. He would be nothing short of a fool to do anything that would violate any condition. Well, he a dumbass, so it could happen. Live streamers are fighting outside the courthouse. Oh, there's a bunch of coonery outside the courthouse. Just coonery. Coonery. I don't even know what to say to that. Quite honestly. Quite honestly, I don't even know. So there we are. We are at the final verdict. It's over. There will not be another trial, thank Jesus. 'Cause I certainly didn't want to go through that either. Quality reacts. I meant outdo. Well, yeah, I think we got it. But thank you again. I didn't mean to send 5. I wanted to send 10. My phone hates me. It's okay. It's okay. Page battle. That's hilarious. Jesus Christ. Is this a rhetorical question? There is nuanced legal difference between the 2. There is nuanced legal difference between the 2. That's the best answer that I'm honestly gonna be able to give you because you're working off of your rationale as just a normal human being in the world who looks at something and reasonably says, "This should be that." Beloved sea fish, have we not learned here on this channel that that's not how the law works? The law defies your rationale. The law defies your rational understanding. The law defies your rational expectation of how something should be defined. The law defies constantly. But the best answer that I can give you is that there are significant nuanced legal differences between the 2. Okay? But he was not charged with trafficking the sex workers in this case and transporting for the purposes of prostitution is not sex trafficking. They are 2 different things. Nickelodeon, Princey Food Fund, gotta feed the pussy. There you go, Quality Reacts. Y'all are cracking me up. Y'all are cracking me up. Yeah, it's more often than not, the law is going to defy what you reasonably assume something should be. Like defamation and rap lyrics. It's the same thing. It's the what we lived and experienced and know to be true in our reality as human beings. And then there's the court record. And those are 2 different things. G. Copeland, thank you for the 5-pound contribution. You're welcome. G. Copeland, first time doing a super chat just to say thanks for everything you do, Absa, and hello from the UK. Hello, beautiful. Cassie's attorney was in court today. And says that they're very pleased with the outcome and because he still faces substantial jail time. All right, guys, here's what's going to happen, okay? Check me. It's 11:24 right now on the East Coast, right? That's not how it works. But we'll see, won't we? Thank you, Marshall Irons. I mean, if you want to be specific. Okay. We are going to reconvene here. Okay. Court is going to resume, is my understanding. The jury is dismissed, but it is my understanding Diddy is still in the holding cell in the jail. He's not been taken back to MDC. It's my understanding from the updates that court is going to resume at 1:00. So I'm gonna come back on here at about 12:45 Eastern, okay? Um, I would imagine that they're gonna submit their letters when they're ready on the docket. So I'll have access to them. Maybe they go directly to chambers, but I would imagine they get onto the docket. Either way, we know that what the judge said was, "Submit your letters by 1 p.m., and I will make a decision after that." And Diddy is still in holding, not taken back to MDC, and I've seen a couple, um, court resumes at 1 o'clock from the BBC and CNN. So, we're gonna come back, okay? I'll definitely be on by 1 o'clock, but especially if they're putting things onto the docket, their arguments and things, I'll come on a little bit earlier to break those down for you. And we will, be here together with each other to determine to hear the determination about whether or not Diddy is going to get bonded out today or not. So thank you all so much for joining me. If you haven't already, like the live. Um Go decompress, eat something good, all of those things, and, I will see you in about 90 minutes, okay? If not a little bit sooner. Again, thank you all. I appreciate you. Don't jump into the biscuit headassery that's on the internet right now. You can observe it, okay? And also, when we come back together, don't bring it to me. Why? Because I don't give a fuck what such and such said, okay? All right. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you soon. Peace.